Hello world, and welcome back to Zara our review and tutorial series. In the last episode, we learned how to sleep, take appliances, manage clothes, and understand warmth and wetness levels. Today, we'll dive into Zara game events and look at multi-person scenario. So, let's go! If you open the event.cs file in Zara root, you'll see here Zara Events Listener interface. It contains all the game events Zara produces, quite a lot of them, and how to use it. First, you need to have some class that implements this interface. This class will become a listener. Then, you need to register it. You call Zara Engine, Events, Subscribe, and pass there your listener instance. This, in return, gives you an unique ID of the subscription, so you can at any time unsubscribe this listener by calling Zara, Events, Unsubscribe, and passing there this ID. If you need to make a new Zara game event, just declare it in Zara Events Listener interface and call Zara Engine, Events, Notify All, and pass a function handler that will call this event on every registered listener. If listener handler method will result in an unhandled exception, nothing bad will happen, and this call will just be ignored. The next listener will be invoked as per usual. You may notice that every event has a sender parameter, Zara character instance. Why is that? Events in Zara are not linked to a specific Zara instance, so if you have more than one Zara character, this parameter will help event listener to differentiate between them. With that, we now can look at multi-person scenario example. If we open Zara.NET Core project demo, you'll see iPerson interface. This is a directory implementation of Zara's iGame controller, where you can add player-set declarations. Then we see Person class. This class is practically identical to Game Controller class we wrote in the first video. It only contains a couple of additional properties and a method to pass here from outside, things like its weather description and game time related functions. Now we can create as many persons as we want, and they will have their own health, inventory and body, and in this particular implementation they share the same game time and can share same weather conditions. You just call update on every frame for every person you have, and that's it. Everything we discussed during this tutorial is fully applicable to all of these person instances. Every instance is mostly sitting still and not doing anything. It just wakes up once a real second to recalculate its internals. So, going with multi-person scenario will not hit your game performance. But you may change health controller code a little to give every instance its own update frequency by making it a property rather than a constant, as it's right now, and set it from the outside. And then all these instances will be updating at a different time, and then it will totally eliminate any potential peaks. In this scenario, when any Zara event occurs, sender parameter will contain person instance that produced this event. I will not go through every event here, their names rather self-explanatory, but we need to talk a little about the movement-related events. Zara controls character's movement speed and movement ability by looking at his health status, fatigue, stamina and inventory weight. And Zara can let you know that player can no longer run or walk, or report to you speed with which player should move. How does it work? First of all, here are all constants that describe character movement speed. Change them to your liking. To let Zara control all those speeds dynamically, you must handle the movement speed change and apply movement speed delta events. With movement speed change, Zara tells you the exact values of your player's run, walk and crouch speeds. You need to set them in player status and in any other place where these speeds are stored in your code. If value is null, you should ignore it. Similar thing with apply movement speed delta, but instead of setting the exact value, you need to add given values to the according parameters and set them, like so. And last but not least, report limping state. If Zara decides that character started limping or stopped limping, it emits this event. You must set player's limping state to the value provided. You can ignore it, of course, if you don't use limping feature in your project. If you don't want Zara to control players' speeds, just ignore those game events. Well, that's all we needed to cover this time. In our next video, we'll dive deep into Zara state management and we'll learn how to include any custom classes, properties and fields into the existing Zara safe load mechanism. See you in the next episode.